Hello, and welcome to the Grapefully Yours Wine Podcast. I'm Jim Campanini with my co-host, Mike Pigeon, the wine butler. And today we're going to talk about a great wine tasting that Mike and I went to in Cambridge, Massachusetts last week. Puritan and Company, right on Cambridge Street. It was a nice restaurant. We had a good time. We took public transportation. We took the train into Boston. Then we took a cab over to Cambridge. It was a beautiful day, and we can give you more information on that. But first of all, I want you. I'm wearing my Bruins uniform on today, and hopefully the Bruins on Wednesday night can close out the Florida Panthers, move to the next round. So I actually bought this hat last week at.
Along with the Celtics hat, you did
with
well.
The Celtics
you had
hat,
jingle in your pocket.
Oh yeah. So it was really good. And one other announcement I want to make is next week from the next Tuesday from these the wonderful downtown studios at InsideLowell.com, where we are right now. We're going to have a special show, The Run for the Roses. No, the Run for the Rosés.
For the Rosés.
It's the week before the Kentucky Derby. Actually, Tuesday, the race is going to be on Saturday, May 6th, I believe. So we're going to do our show, The Run for the Rosés, next Tuesday. We're going to have a couple of, probably 3 or 4 good rosés that you could have for a little Kentucky Derby party. You can also drink your mint juleps if you want. And then, if you're a good audience, I will give you my long shot pick to win the Kentucky Derby. Maybe even Mike might give you one.
Oh boy!
Have you ever won a horse race in your life?
Secretariat.
Last
one I won.
It was 1973, I believe.
Well, that's I'm on the wagon as far as betting.
Yeah, you had 3 chances. Well, that's good. But we'll give you the choice of the field on rosés. And then we'll pick you a nice long shot to play in the Kentucky Derby. Does that sound good?
Remember CAP radio used to have the different horses you'd call in and they'd give you a horse, and if you won, I think you got a tour through the city of Lowell or something. I don't know what it was.
I don't remember that. Teddy, do you remember that? Ted Panos, our producer here?
Yeah, we used to do a horse contest.
Yeah.
Nice. Maybe we could revive that,
We're actually doing it. Keith Rudy's coming in.
Oh, really?
Next week, we're going to record it and give away some prizes.
Oh, that'd be nice.
We'll have to get you
Fantastic. Oh, yeah. I'll have to call in with my tips. War Admiral. War Admirals around. Okay, so today we're talking about there are 3 major white wines from Alsace. Okay, that's in the northeast region of France. It's one of the top wine growing regions. Produces how many millions of bottles a year? Did you say?
121 million bottles.
Yes,
It's such a slim region to put out that amount.
Yeah, it's about 70 miles long, about 7 miles wide.
105 miles long and 9 miles wide.
Yeah, and they do a lot of production, but the wines, the wines are known worldwide, especially their whites, which are 3 major wines, and I got them written right here. And the first one, we're going to have Mike try to pronounce it, because even though we went to the wine tasting, it just hilarious how he keeps trying to pronounce this word. How do you pronounce that wine?
Well, as I grew up as a child, we never used that word around the house, so it was hard to get it embedded. I Gewurztraminer, Gewurztraminer.
Very good. Gewurztraminer. And then we have Riesling, and then Cremant. Cremant, in France, all champagnes have to be classified as champagne from the Champagne region. There's only one Champagne sparkling wine. But wherever they make champagne-style wines, any other place in France, it's called Cremant. Well, Cremant d'Alsace is the second most highly prized champagne-style wine in all of France. They actually produce 27% of the sparkling bubbly that is exported and sold from France. So that's a big number. And Cremant is done in the same styles as Champagne. And it's interesting because it sells for cheaper than French champagne, and yet the quality is just as good.
And it is champagne. It's just
It
not
is.
grown in the Champagne.
It's Champagne
district.
region, yeah. So a tip to know when you see this, you want something different for your table and excite your guests. You don't want to spend $40, $50 for a bottle of champagne. You could have the sparkling bubbly called Cremant, a very, very good wine. One of my favorites now. They got the Cremant Rosé. Lucien Albrecht produces it. It's a very nice wine for under $20. It's a brut style. It's a Cremant Rosé. So we'll talk a little about that. But let's get Gewürztraminer out of the way quick. So Gewürztraminer, Alsace is located northeast of France. It's just below Sweden. To the east is Germany, and then you've got France. So people come from all over Europe really to meet at Alsace and buy the Gewürztraminer, which is a white wine. It's a spicy wine, and it's got a unique taste, a little bitter on the end.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Okay, but it's spicy. It's good with certain foods.
Asian foods,
yeah, anything spicy you can use that with. We tasted some. They range from the simple to the complex. But the main reason why Gewürztraminer, you got to be careful with it is why, Mike?
sugar. The sugar is just so high. I know you gave me for just talking too much about the high sugar level because it's only on a couple of them, but 44 grams per liter on one of those. Wow, that's a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
Most of them are down around 12, 14, which is low for that type of wine, but still in my mind high if you have a sugar problem.
Yes. And people have to be cognizant of that sugar in wine. And more wineries across the world are not only going to sustainable farming practices to take all the chemicals and pesticides out of their process, but they're also watching their residual sugar content. So what is residual sugar? After the fermentation process, in the fermentation process, the yeast, attacks the sugar, creating the alcohol. And after the fermentation process, any sugar elements that are left behind is called the sugar, the residual sugar. Most dry wines have 0 to about 6 grams of sugar. And I say, wow, 6 grams, that's a lot. Well, 3 grams of sugar equals 1/4 tablespoon of sugar. Okay. So per 1 liter bottle, most wine bottles have 750 milliliters. Okay, so figure 6 grams of sugar would be about half a tablespoon, and probably even less because that's based on a 1 liter bottle. So it's probably slightly less. But the problem is that most wine bottles, and like other products that we have in America, they don't have to list their sugar content, on the wine bottle. Now, some of these bottlers and wine producers are putting sugar meters on their bottle. They do it in America a lot on the Rieslings and other sweet wines. Some French wine producers and German producers are now going to that. So you should look at the back of the bottle. But what's the best way to tell sugar content in a wine if it's not listed on the bottle?
By the alcohol content. The
That's
more
right.
alcohol, the less sugar.
Who taught you that?
I think the wine novice.
Yes. Okay.
Years back.
So remember that the higher the alcohol level on a bottle label, the less sugar in a bottle of wine. So that's why you see Rieslings, which they have some sweet Rieslings. You might look at the bottle. Wow, it says 9% alcohol. Well, that thing is loaded with sugar. It's a sweet Riesling. Whereas you get into the dry whites and reds, they're 12.5 to 15.5, even higher. That's why Amarone, the Italian Amarone, is a nice a dry red wine, it could have up to 16.5% alcohol. Some of those Cabernets, California and throughout the world, 15.5. They nudge 16%.
That's very high, yeah.
So you can tell they're really dry. So you should be cognizant of the sugar levels in the wines. And it's not that you can't have one of those wines, because the sugar makes some of these wines more complex, but you're not going to drink them every day. Like Mike said, we tasted some Gewürztraminer at the tasting, and also some really sweet German Rieslings that among some of the best in the world, but high sugar content. And and I'm talking about the real Coke sugar in it, you know. So you should be cognizant of that. So yeah, Gewürztraminer is a good wine. Now, if you want an example of Gewürztraminer in America, look for, if you could go to the New Hampshire liquor store and look at the Finger Lakes region, the wines, Ravines and Dr. Frank. They have some good Gewürztraminer if you want to try it. It's great with spicy Asian food, anything spicy. All right, we'll move on to Riesling. Now, what makes this area so interesting, Alsace? It's got 13 different soil types. It's called the mosaic of Europe, from granite to volcanic to limestone. So it's rich in soil. It creates some beautiful character in these wines. It's a unique spot that it can't be reproduced. It isn't reproduced any other place in the world. That's why these whites and even some of their reds now, Pinot Noir, so well. But the Rieslings, you like those Rieslings, didn't you?
I like two of them that I had, which is good, because it's almost like you have to acquire a taste for it.
Yeah.
If you haven't drank it quite a bit in the past, and I haven't. I'm not a...
So I really liked some. I've been drinking Rieslings for a long time. I really like the taste, especially when it's a change from a Chardonnay or some Italian whites. But it goes. You don't want to drink anything different with Wiener Schnitzel if you like German foods. But it's also good with oysters, fried chicken, okay, a lobster, which we tasted at this wine tasting.
Yeah, that was hats off to that restaurant too. That's one of Will Gilson's from Groton, his restaurants, and they put a nice little impressive thing of food out there that went with the Rieslings.
Mike and I showed up. There were, I think you said there were 18 people at this private tasting, and we showed up, and the wines were all put out on tables. You poured a little in each glass yourself, but then they came out with the trays of lobster and lobster sandwiches,
and
the oysters. And we were planning to have dinner in the North End later on, but they had to carry us out of that, the Puritan and Company. But we had a great time mixing and matching the foods with the different wines and stuff. So the Alsatian Rieslings, I mean, you can get some of them for the lower priced Rieslings, which is still very good. You can get them for about 18 to $20 a bottle. That sweet spot is the $20 to $25 range. And most of them are rated 90 points and higher. I mean, from this region, you get good quality wines. And the thing to look for is that the Alsace region is next to the Rhone region in Italy, is number one in France for eco-friendly and sustainable farming. So like I said, they've been practicing it since 1961, before it even became trendy. Taking care of the land, respecting it, reviving it, and so most of these Rieslings and Cremants and Gewürztraminer, they're what they call clean green wines. Okay, so if that's your thing, but they're healthy, and I think they should be those people, those winemakers and producers should be rewarded for their hard work, and that's why you got to pay a little more. just because they don't intervene so much in the vineyards anymore, and everything is it's labor intensive. They don't use machines in the wineries, but they have to hand pick these grapes and sort them and stuff. So manual labor costs, you know.
And most of them are all family owned over there.
Yes.
They've been passed down through generations. I couldn't believe for the number they have that are all still family run.
Yeah, and so I just want to say that you know it's. I talked with the representative from the Alsace region, and you know the last two vintages have been different. They had weather problems in 2020. 21 was a little different. They had a lot of. Started out rainy, then they got too much sunshine, because you don't want those grapes to over-ripen, because in the Riesling it creates fungus, botrytis, and they have to, you know, either make a sweet Riesling wine. They can't make the dry wines. And the other good thing about Riesling, it comes in bone dry, so that's why, you know, look for the labeling if you can. Then they have dry, off dry, and then the sweet. So you've got a nice range of what you can get there. Once again, with the Riesling, if you want some good American Riesling, Ravines and Finger Lakes, there's some great Rieslings from the New York State region. But one of my favorites, which I buy every year, from Walla Walla, Washington, Long Shadow Vintners, is Poet's Leap. This has been on several wine enthusiasts and wine spectator magazine lists for top value and top wines of the year. And it's made in the Columbia Valley. It's got a low residual sugar. Okay, they just put a trace of in it to give it a little sweetness. But if you have this, you're going to taste the lemon, lime, nice, even a little nutty flavor at the end, a little spice.
And how much is that a bottle?
This is about $22 a bottle. Now, the good thing about this is offered to their allocation list members, which I am one of them, first. But then, if they have bottles left over, they do have a collaboration with New Hampshire liquor stores. So watch for it midsummer, okay? Because right now they're sending out all their shipments to their club owners, and then it'll start showing up. And you want to get this on sale. Sometimes it's offered for as low as $18 a bottle, which is the same price that I pay for it. Okay, so it's a great Riesling, refreshing, something to have on the patio. Oysters, clams, lobster salad sandwich. You'll love this wine. You'll love this wine. Okay, so give it a Long Shadow Vintners, Poet's Leap. It's beautiful. Okay, now we could talk about Alsace wines, and there's a lot of things. I'm doing a column. It should be posted up later in this week. It'll be on InsideLowell.com about all the wines we tasted at that wine tasting. I'll have the prices, and they're all available in Massachusetts. You might, if you're an explorer, you might go out there and try some, especially with the summer coming up. You want some nice patio sippers. The Cremant, I think, will be a great one for your guests if you're a little patio party or something. So what do you think? Final thoughts on the wine tasting?
Well, what I really loved and impressed me is they had that like slideshow video show of the village, and it's like a gingerbread castle house thing. It's the most prettiest village buried deep up there, Switzerland. It's beautiful.
It's
beautiful.
The whole area was formed by the Vosges Mountains, which emerged, and then you've got the Black Forest on the Germany side. So I was in Strasbourg during last summer, and which is within about 50, 60 miles of the Alsace region, and it's just so beautiful. I visited the Black Forest, but people really like their white wines and Wiener Schnitzel and Riesling, and these are just great wines for that purpose. I think you like them if you give them a try. Okay, moving on. I just want to I got this wine sent to me by one of the distributors. I wanted Mike to taste it. We normally don't talk about Australian wines, but Australia, as one of the greatest regions in the world for red wines, it's called the Barossa Valley. Okay, and they really are turning out some fantastic Shiraz, which Shiraz is Syrah to us. It's the same thing, only a different clone. The thing with Australia, a lot of sunshine. So the problem there is they got the grapes ripen, all right, and they ripen well and naturally. But the winemaker has to watch it because he doesn't want to overcook those grapes. Well, this wine is called Alkina. In the indigenous language, it's a woman's name called for moonlight, Alkina. And the winery is New Frontier, was the New Frontier Wine Company, and it's called Birdsong, Kin Birdsong, Alkina. Now, the local artist does, local indigenous artist does all their labels. If you go on their website, you can see it. But this really got to me because it was such a great tasting Syrah. I mean, I've had a lot of Syrahs from this country.
It is.
But it was so smooth, juicy, a lot of plum. At first, when I tasted it, I thought I was drinking a Merlot, okay, because it had that nice blue fruit in it and plum.
It is very nice.
Yeah, isn't it?
I'm glad you gave me a
It's
small.
got some depth.
I'm glad you gave me a small pour because I would have down whatever you gave me. That is really nice.
And you know,
That is
for
really
the
nice. Yeah.
the complexity of it and the savory. I mean, I could just
It is.
I could just imagine having a nice ossobuco or steak with this wine. I mean, this would floor. I think a lot of people, and really, if I put a blindfold on this bottle, they'd think it was from California or even Washington State, one of the best. Now, doing my research on this bottle, it costs the suggested retail price is $47, and we were talking about this before the show. It's too bad they have to put a price tag on it. You know, they're shipping it here. The cost to create it. This is also done from a sustainable farming operation. All these grapes are hand harvested, okay, which adds more to manual labor, and it's got an interesting process to make this wine, but everything costs, you know. And my question is, where can you get it? Well, right now, it's just entering the U.S. market. And the distributor told me you could buy it online from the winery. Well, I'm not going to buy it from an Australian winery right now. After I tasted it, I would, but most people won't do that. They want to see the bottle, take a look at it, even maybe taste it. So what I say is watch for this, okay, at your stores. I'll be writing about this wine also on the InsideLowell.com website. I'll put some photos in on it. You could probably track it down because I think this is a knock your socks off type of Shiraz. You've never tasted anything like this before. I really recommend it. But I would try to buy this at a discount.
That's a very good recommendation for that price. Even that's a very good
I mean, I buy Syrahs from top Washington State wineries. It costs almost $60 a bottle, $55 a bottle. This fits right in this range, and I think you're going to see this. You're going to see this on some top wine lists because it's a very good wine. So I'll have all the details for you later this week on my column. But you like that, huh?
Yeah, very, very
really
much,
good.
yeah.
Now, in another wine that I tasted during the week that Mike is familiar with, and I am, Campo Viejo. Okay, you've seen these bottles. They cost $10.99. The Rioja. But this is a single grape Tempranillo, okay, which is a beautiful grape, gives off nice savory flavors. For $10.99, it always rates like 88 to 90 points. Big value wine from Spain. We had it with the fajitas, Mexican fajitas the other night. It was fantastic, but very smooth, luxuriant, you know. And you often don't find that in a $10.99 bottle, bottle of wine. But I can't say enough. And you've had this
I've had the Campanini Reserve. And
yes.
and I think I pay $17 a bottle for
Yes,
that. And I love it a little spicy too. It's a nice wine, but that one there maybe I should try. I've never had that one, and it's quite a bit lower in price too. $10.99.
Yeah, $10.99. And if you look at the back, it's even got a little label to tell you the tastes, the intensity. It gives it three circles, complex 2 circles out of 5, and fruity 3 circles. So it's a medium-bodied wine that gives a full-bodied flavor, and it's 13.5% alcohol, which tells you, well, it's got a lower sugar content than most wines. So, but it's very, very fruit balanced. Burgers, pizza, fajitas, salads with grilled chicken on them. I mean, you could have this. Is very very versatile wine, but I was very impressed. Very impressed. So, any closing thoughts?
Well, let's keep these wine tastings going. They're enjoyable.
Yeah, so look for my column later this week on the wine tasting with Gewürztraminer, Riesling, the other Alsatian wines. I'll also have something up on the this new Shiraz from Australia. And remember that next Tuesday, we've got a nice show. We're going to have 3 or 4 rosés in here. We'll have, and we'll talk about the run for the rosés before the Kentucky Derby. Hopefully, we'll give you a winning pick on the Kentucky Derby.
Maybe we can even come in with a little pony or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we'll tell
You bring
Teddy.
a hay, I'll find a pony.
We can't get in the elevator if the elevator doesn't work.
It doesn't work. I don't think
So, everyone, have a great week. May the wine be with you.
Have see.